Okay, I think we're ready. Are we ready? Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, whichever I'm speaking with right now. My name is Larry James. I own a company called Speak with Larry, no spaces. And what I'm doing right now is I'm creating a series of videos designed to assist people like yourself with understanding the stock market. Now, we're in a time right now where the stock market has kind of taken a new view from many people because a lot of people like myself didn't really have an understanding or a desire really to know too much about the stock market. Now that I'm getting older and I'm more in a position to invest, I have more of an interest in that. So since I'm considering investing, some substantial amounts of money, I want to be able to do it the correct way with based on knowledge, which is what I'm sharing these videos with you. But I'm also creating a system for people who want to start their own online business, just the way my system teaches you how to do it. And I'm doing it for a 90-day period. My system is actually a 90-day period that charges $45 per month or $125 for the entire 90 days of me consulting you, walking you through the process of you creating products. These products are like online courses that you create once you do your research on your particular topic that you decide to talk about or to share information about or to learn about, because a lot of times just like this I'm doing this based on my interest in the stock market. uh, and I knew very little about it actually, but I'm learning more and more. As a matter of fact, I'm titling this video Calls, Puts, Options, and More. Now, do you know what a call is in the investing arena? Do you know what that is? Do you know what a put is? I didn't either. Isn't that something? But you're gonna learn today. And I appreciate you stopping by. Really, you're watching this video in one of two places. Either you're watching it on as a YouTube video or you're watching it as an online course that you purchased. Because as I indicated earlier, what I do is I create products based on information that I learn and want to share with a different audience, and then I market those online courses, and it generates an income. That's what you want to be able to do for your business. You want to be able to create an income based on your knowledge base. So as you gain knowledge about a certain topic, you can just create videos and put a price point on it and teach that. And there are a lot of people that would be interested in purchasing that. And it's not like that difficult to do. There's just some things that have to take place. You have to position things, and I'll walk you through that entire process. But that's not really what I'm talking about today. Today I'm talking about calls, puts, options, and more, which have to do with investing in the stock market, right? So the first um, definition I'm going to give you today is, what is an option? And you've heard that term before. What is an option? Options are financial instruments that are derivatives based on the value of underlying securities such as stocks. And option contracts offer the buyer the opportunity to buy or sell, depending on the type of contract they hold, the underlying asset. Unlike futures, the holder is not required to buy or sell the asset if they choose not to. Call options allow the holder to buy the asset at a stated price within a specific time frame. Put options allow the holder to sell the asset at a stated price within a specific time frame. And each option contract will have a specific expiration date by which the holder must exercise their option. And the stated price on any option, no, the stated price on an option is known as the strike price. Keep that term in mind, strike price. Options are typically bought and sold through online or retail brokers. So that's pretty much a ballpark understanding. I'm going to go a little bit deeper in a second. But I just want to get you to understand how this process would work. If I was to get out of this seat and you were to sit in this seat, you would do the same thing that I'm doing. You go through the exact same process. And at the end of your video or your presentation, if you will have repeated that knowledge so that it's logging in your mind, making you more efficient with, your language when it comes to that particular topic. And it allows your viewer to be able to learn from what you're sharing. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is a financial instrument. What is a financial instrument? Financial instruments are assets that can be traded, or they can also be seen as packages of capital that may be traded. Most types of financial instruments provide efficient flow and transfer of capital all throughout the world's investors. These assets can be cash or contractual right to deliver or receive cash or another type of financial instrument or evidence of one's ownership of an entity. That's financial instrument. Now, what is a call? A call can mean two things. It can refer to an option contract giving the owner the right but not the obligation to buy a specified amount of any underlying security at a specified price within a specified time. It can also refer to a call auction, a time when buyers set a maximum acceptable price to buy and sellers set a minimum satisfactory price to sell a security on an exchange. Matching buyers and sellers in this process increases liquidity and decreases volatility. The auction is sometimes referred to as a call market. So that is a call. So what's a put? A put is an option contract that gives the owner the right, but not the obligation to sell a certain amount of the underlying asset at a set price was within a specific time. Kind of familiar, right? The buyer of a put option believes the underlying stock will drop below the exercise price before the expiration date. The exercise price is the price that the underlying asset must reach for the put option contract to hold value. And a put can be contrasted with a call option, which gives the holder to buy the underlying at the specified price or on or before the expiration. Got it? Puts and calls, those are involved with option contracts. Now, have you ever heard of a Ponzi scheme? Have you ever heard of that? Do you know what that actually is? A Ponzi scheme? Let me tell you what that is. A Ponzi scheme is a fraudulent investing scam promising high rates of return with little risk to investors. And a Ponzi scheme is a fraudulent investing scam which generates return for earlier investors with money taken from later investors. This is similar to a pyramid scheme in that both are based on using new investors' funds to pay the earlier backers. Both Ponzi schemes and pyramid schemes eventually bottom out when the flood on new investor dries up and there isn't enough money to go around. At that point, the scheme unravels. Ponzi scheme. Keep your eyes and ears open for things like that. What's a pyramid scheme? I just shared, they're kind of familiar. A pyramid scheme is a sketchy and unsustainable business model where a few top level members recruit new members who pay upfront cost up to the chain to those who enroll them. As newer members in turn recruit underlyings of their own A portion of the subsequent fees they receive is also kicked up the chain, often called pyramid scams. These operations are illegal in some countries. And most people who get caught up in those lose a lot. So be mindful when you're investing in different things. Next, have you ever heard of a pump and dump scam? These are things to keep your mind open to when you're thinking about putting your money in places. You want to know these kind of activities do exist. And whether you've heard of them or not, they are effective for a lot of people. So how does a pump and dump scam work? A pump and dump scam is an illegal act of an investor or group of investors promoting a stock they hold and selling once the stock price has risen following the surge in interest as a result of the endorsement. So as they pump the stock up, saying how good it is and how much money you can make, then they, when they get enough people to buy, then they cash out and leave you holding a stock worth nothing, right? Next, I want to talk about corporate fraud. I know this has to do with the backside, right? There's a positive side, there's a backside. You want to keep your mind on both of those. You want to be aware of those. So a corporate fraud refers to illegal activities undertaken by an individual or company that are done in a dishonest and unethical manner. Often this kind of business fraud is designed to give an advantage to the perpetrating individual or company. Corporate fraud schemes go beyond the scope of an employee's stated position and are marked by their complexity and economic impact on the business, other employees, and outside parties as well. That's what corporate fraud is. Next, we have securities fraud. I know you've heard of that. Securities fraud, also referred to as stock or investor fraud, is a type of serious white-collar crime that can be committed in a variety of forms, but primarily involves misrepresenting information investors use to make decisions. The perpetrator of the fraud can be an individual, such as a stockbroker, or it can be an organization such as a brokerage firm, a corporation, or an investment bank. It can also be an independent individual who might also commit this type of fraud through schemes such as insider trading. Insider trading, you've heard that term before, right? What about money laundering? Have you heard that? You know what money laundering is? Money laundering is the illegal process of making large amounts of money generated by criminal activity, such as a drug trafficking or terrorist funding, appear to have come from a legitimate source. The money from the crime activity is considered dirty, and the process laundering it to make it clean. Money laundering is a serious financial crime that is employed by white-collar and street-level criminals alike. And most financial companies have anti-money laundering policies in place to detect and prevent this activity. Okay. Next, wire fraud. What is wire fraud? Well, wire fraud is a type of fraud that involves a use of some form of telecommunication or internet. These can include a phone call, a fax, an email, a text, or a social media messaging, among many other forms. Wire fraud is punishable by prison and or fines. See, these types of things are interesting to me because a lot of times you just get the fluff, you just get the to-dos, but not to what to look for. And these are just as relevant because and if nothing else, you know the definitions, or you know how to go back and find the definition or the terms of what those things mean. Now, next I want to talk about securities fraud. Securities fraud, also referred to as stock or investor fraud, is a type of serious white-collar crime that can be committed in a variety of forms, but primarily involves misrepresenting information investors use to make decisions. And the perpetrator of that fraud can be an individual or a stockbroker. Did I read that correctly? Yeah, individual or stockbroker. Next, we have white collar crime. White collar crime is a nonviolent crime committed for financial gain. According to the FBI, a key agency that investigates these offenses, these crimes are characterized by deceit, concealment, or violation of trust. The motivation of these crimes is to obtain or avoid losing money, property, or services, or to secure a personal or business advantage. Examples of white collar crimes include securities fraud, embezzlement, corporate fraud, and money laundering. And in addition to the FBI, entities that investigate white collar crimes include the Securities and Exchange Commission, or the SEC, the National Association of Security Dealers, or NASD, and state authorities. Interesting, right? Very interesting. When I was doing research for these, I was thinking, wow, these things people would like to know, because I didn't know. I've heard them all, but I didn't know what some of them were. And finally, I want to talk about what is racketeering. You've heard that, right? Racketeering. The term racketeering broadly refers to criminal acts, typically those involving extortion. It is usually used in reference to patterns of illegal activities specified in the Racketeer Influenced and Corporate Organizations Act, or the RICO, R-I-C-O. This is a U.S. federal law that makes it illegal to acquire or control a business through certain crimes or income from those crimes. It is also illegal to participate, even indirectly, in certain crimes committed by a business, or to conspire to do any of the above under the Act. And the list of the federal crimes specified in the RICO includes bribery, fraud, gambling offenses, money laundering, financial and economic crimes, obstructing justice or a criminal investigation, and murder for hire, and the sexual exploitation of children. At the state level, racketeering includes crimes such as murder, kidnapping, gambling, arson, robbery, bribery, extortion, dealing in obscene matter, and drug crimes. That's a mouthful, isn't it? See, things like that are very unique to digest, because you always focus on, the upside of things, but just as there's an upside, there's a downside. And there are people who benefit on the upside, and there are people who benefit on the downside, the dark side, if you will. So you want to make certain that you keep your eyes and ears open to the people who are dealing on the dark side, because they're going to be there. They're there. It's just that you don't want to play the game on that side. You want to play it on the light side, or the right side, or the side that generates income that you can pay your taxes on and generate a profit and scale or grow that system, right? And that's one of the things that's very important when you're dealing with positioning yourself as an expert, which is what, again, my company teaches you to do. Is at the end of the 90-day period, you're no longer an amateur. You're more of an expert than most people you're going to run across in that particular area of expertise, or on that particular topic or subject. Got it? All right, but listen, I really appreciate you purchasing this course, if you bought the course, or just watching the video if you're on YouTube, or different places that I posted. And my name is Larry James. My company is Speak with Larry. And as always, share with someone else what I've shared with you.